Hello, everybody. So we're live on YouTube now. We're going to get started in about 10 minutes. So the crew getting ready. They're going to walk you up the gangplank onto the ship itself, I believe. So you get the full tour, just as if you were there in person yourself. We have about 9 minutes until we get started. So I thought while we're waiting, what I will do is put them on in the videos that we've created around the 50th, so everybody can watch. Hello, everybody. So we're live on YouTube now. We're going to get started in about 10 minutes. So there we go. I can hear myself on YouTube. All right. So over to the video. I'll share my screen so everybody can see.
For 50 years, Greenpeace has faced every challenge, every obstacle, every crisis with resolve, with the belief that we're writing the story of a safer, greener, more just future. That we are building a community for every believer, every dreamer, and every hero who knows that we can save this planet. That we're working together to empower every person who has discovered their passion, who is yearning to find their voice. Every person has found their reason to keep moving forward, to keep hoping, to keep dreaming, to keep fighting.
I keep fighting because this is not a drill. This is a climate emergency.
I keep fighting.
I keep fighting.
Je continue à me battre.
Я продолжаю борьбу.
나는 싸울 겁니다.
Because life on our home planet depends on it.
Porque creo en un mundo mejor.
Потому что наша планета – это наш дом.
We have to keep pushing for action.
Because this beautiful, incredible world is worth fighting for.
말이 아니라 행동이 필요한 순간이니까.
Mert az emberiség jövője a tét.
Because climate action means saving lives.
나는 싸울 겁니다. 기후 위기는 현실입니다.
I keep fighting because there is still so much worth protecting.
나는 싸울 겁니다. 우리에게 또 다른 지구는 없으니까요.
Ko te tino pūtake o tātou nei mahi, ko te oranga o tātou nei mokopuna.
Eu continuo lutando porque as nossas vozes juntas fazem a diferença.
Sigo luchando porque se nos acaba el tiempo y juntas somos más fuertes.
Le combat pour le futur de nos enfants.
Eu acredito que nós, seres humanos, um dia vamos colocar nossas mãos na consciência e parar de degradar o nosso planeta.
قاعد نستمر في الحملات التجسيسية وقاعد نستمر في النضال وقاعد نستمر في المسيرات الاحتجاجية.
I keep fighting, and I cannot accept that there would be so much devastation on the planet, so many creatures killed, and that we would leave such devastation for kids in the future.
With your support, Greenpeace will keep fighting because the planet needs a voice. Our children need a future and time is running out. We'll keep creating new ways to speak truth to the powerful. We'll keep demanding a tomorrow that is cleaner, safer, more just. We'll keep building a future for everyone. One day, one step at a time.
So, hello everybody. And so you can see my tabs. Oh, that's a pity. Wow, it was, I couldn't see anything except for the screen. So who do we have? We're due to start in 4 minutes. Susie or the Rainbow Warrior, do you feel like popping in and saying hello while we wait for the walk up the gangplank?
Sorry, Simon, could you say that again? I didn't hear that.
I said, hello, mate. How are you? I wanted to introduce you to everybody before we started the walk up the gangplank.
Do you want me to? Shall I start my video?
I'd love to start for you to start your video, mate.
Okay. Let's see.
You're sideways. There we go. Hello, Susie.
Oh, kia ora, everyone. It was so nice to see on that clip you just shown my friend Mike Smith, the Māori guy with the facial moko, talking, and he was speaking in Te Reo. Well, we're Māori Language Week, so kia ora koutou katoa. Ngā mihi nui ki te Wahiki Island or Te Motu Arairoa in Aotearoa, New Zealand. And it was also nice to hear my mate Lucy Lawless narrate the last part of that video as well. So I feel very much at home, and it's good to see you again, Simon, after our table talk the other night.
Yeah.
And yeah, so what would you like me to say?
Well, I will just introduce you. It's wonderful. So we're about to give a virtual tour of the Rainbow Warrior. We're going to start in 2 minutes.
Wow.
And I think I'll check in with the crew in a moment via Slack. But it's really wonderful to have you here. You were, for people who don't know, for supporters who don't know, Susie was there back at the birth of the Rainbow Warrior. You painted the dove and the rainbow on the side, raised the money to buy the first ship and to really to buy our first flagship, which is one of the things that a lot of people know about Greenpeace. It's wonderful to have you here. Thank you for joining.
Well, thank you for having me. So it's a day I remember many, many, many wonderful friends. You know, the co-founders that I met in London, and my great friend Rex Weiler and Bob Hunter, and even Paul Watson. And yeah, I just remember all these people today, and especially the rusty old trawler, Sir William Hardy, which we turned into the Rainbow Warrior, which sadly got bombed, yeah, just a few kilometers from here, 30-something years ago. And I have been aboard the Rainbow Warrior 3 a couple of times when she's been here in Auckland. So I do know the boat, but I'm also looking forward to having a virtual tour. Never had a virtual tour of a ship before.
I've never run a virtual tour of a ship before, so we're both in this for the first time together.
Right.
Welcome to everybody joining us from around the world. I can see 150 people just in the call alone, and a lot of people joining us on social media. If you feel like it, write in the chat where you're joining from, what your name is, any Greenpeace stories that you have. But we are exactly on time. So what I'm going to do is hand over to the Rainbow Warrior, pin their feed, and then you won't have to listen to me anymore. So I see your hand up, Rainbow Warrior. If you feel like unmuting and getting ready, I think we're ready to walk up the gangplank, no? No? Yes? Okay then. Hang on a moment.
Yeah, he's slacking to you.
Okay. Right. You can turn on the camera, Simon.
You can't turn on the camera. Moment, mate. Moment. I'm sure we can.
Okay, Tom. Let's go closer.
Ask to start video. You should have a message from me now, mate.
Yeah. He's asking to start the video. maybe internet is not.
There we go. You are now there.
Hello, everybody. I don't know if you can hear me now.
I can hear you perfectly, mate.
Thanks. Let's go on board on the Rainbow Warrior. At the moment, we are in Poole, UK. My name is Hettie. I'm the captain on board the Rainbow Warrior, and I'm here together with Helena.
Hi, so I'm Helena. I'm the second mate on board. I'm from Australia, and I work with Hettie as part of the bridge team. We're taking you on the tour today.
So here you are on a helicopter deck of the Rainbow Warrior. One thing for us, it's really strange to talk with not have people in front of us who ask questions. So it will be, we have to get used to all of it. So here we are on the heli deck, on the third Rainbow Warrior. Later we talk about the second and the first one. But we really wanted this ship, especially designed for us. And we really wanted a ship that could sail and could do the sailing very well, but also be able to have a helicopter landing on the ship. This is also why we have this strange mast, because you can imagine that a helicopter, when you remove the wings, it can go into the heli hangar. But if you then have a normal mast, it doesn't fit. So this is actually the reason why we have this strange mast. Do you want to add something to this?
Yeah, well, these days we don't use a helicopter that often. I think you've been on board with a helicopter. I haven't. We use drones. We use drones more often now, but still a useful platform. Javier, do you want to talk about the time you had a helicopter?
Yeah, so the last time I remember we used a helicopter. The last time I remember we had a helicopter on board was when we went with this ship up the Digul River. And then we had a helicopter for the scientists to come on board and to go mapping the forest in Papua. Actually, I said the Amazon probably, but it's Papua. To mapping the forest where it was still old forest and to see where it was palm oil trees. And then later they could information they get from satellite. Okay, let's go down into the ship.
Okay. Whole area there, and we're going to the accommodation area here, where we have a gallery, the memories of the past here, to remind us where we how this all began. And here you can see the Phyllis McCormack, one of the first boats that sort of launched Greenpeace on its way to Africa. It goes through the back to Canada 50 years ago.
And there we have a collection of all the ships we had in Greenpeace.
The very first Rainbow Warrior. So you can see here, actually, it was without sails. So it was built in 1955 as a fisheries vessel and bought by Greenpeace in 1978. And unfortunately, it was blown up in 1985. And it was in New Zealand on its way to protest nuclear testing by the French. You can see here when it had sails. It was converted to a sailing vessel in 1980.
Here we have other Greenpeace ships. The Sirius, the MV.
Where the cabins are.
And here you see our other two ships. At the moment, we have 3 ships: Rainbow Warrior, Arctic Sunrise, our icebreaker, and the Esperanza, who's going to be retired very soon. Okay, let's go up. Here we are in a mess room. The good thing about this mess room is that we can sit here with 32 people. The ship is designed to sail with 32 people, 16 crew and 16 campaign people, journalists, scientists can come on board. It looks quite clean and empty, but with a lot of people, it's still having a very good atmosphere. Let's see if we see anybody in the galley. Hey, this is Willendro from India. I have to say we're very lucky because he's one of the best cooks. What are we going to eat today?
We eat today vegetarian, all couscous, vegetable, and also mushrooms. Also fresh bread we have beetroot salad, fresh salad, some avocado salad, and tofu.
Very nice. I look forward to it. Yeah. And I should not forget Alice. Alice is correct, eh? It's your first day on board. She's the assistant cook. At the moment, we have 16 crew on board, but also people from campaign from the UK. If we have more people on board, we always have an assistant cook. The cook cannot do without an assistant cook. One of the most important jobs on board is the cook and the assistant cook, not the captain at all.
Thank you.
Well, let's have a look at the lounge.
So now we're in the lounge. So this is where the crew can chill out. We have, as you can see, when we first got the ship, it was quite empty. And over the years, we've received gifts. People have painted paintings for us. And slowly it's become more of a homey feeling with memories from all around the world. So yeah, where we chill out with guitars and watch movies.
Let's go to the radio room. One of the important things for Greenpeace is, of course, communication with the outside world. That's why this is one of the most important rooms as well of the ship. This is also a reason, since we have this strange A-frame mast, that we can put a lot of antennas on the mast, which really helps with communication. Tom, our radio operator, is normally sitting here.
But now he's behind.
But now he's filming.
He's filming. He's our tech guy. Makes the internet run. He's able to beam out images around the world, doing our campaign. Yeah.
Okay, let's go up. Actually, this is the second Rainbow Warrior. I was there somewhere in Asia, Thailand, or I think, yeah, somewhere in Asia. Fantastic, fantastic campaign. You see the windmill in the sail? We should have something like that. So here we are in my cabin. Yeah, not that special. It's more an office-like. Captain these days is also a very much an office job on a ship, communicating with the outside world, preparing campaigns, but also make sure that the ship is safely sailing. That's why the good thing is that this cabin is close to the bridge where we go soon. Elena, maybe you can talk about this.
Okay. You can see here also some more memories on the walls. So you can see here that this is the trident from Aquaman that was donated for an action that was done on a oil platform in the North Sea. You can see the 4 activists, they occupied the platform and took the trident. So it was trying to push for that campaign. You can see also just above, there's a picture of the seal. This was in the Auckland Islands. So I was on board for that campaign, and that was highlighting what was at risk in the Auckland Islands if we did the deep sea oil drilling and off the coast of New Zealand. So yeah, we're all please.
Yeah, let's go to the bridge. So this is Helena's area.
Our area.
Okay, our area.
Okay, so welcome to the bridge. So the bridge team is made up of the captain, but we have a chief officer, second officer, and a third officer, and we all take 4-hour shifts each day and 4 hours at night when we're at sea. During port time, we'll be working on board, and it's more of a daytime job. And night. At night time, we always have someone with us to help with lookout and do regular rounds because we can't leave the bridge. We have to constantly maintain situational awareness. So they do the rounds and the company. The thing I love about this job is that you end up sharing amazing stories with people from all around the world. That's diverse too. So that's one of my favourite parts on the bridge, late at night, looking out the window, fishing boats or preparing for an action the next day and sharing stories and downloading what happened during the day. See here a little bit about the equipment. So this is our steering wheel. So it's all hydraulic, not very fancy big one. We have an autopilot. So when we're underway, we can set the course and the ship itself. Now you can see we have radars here, the radar vessels that also can help us find fishing boats, or on the other ships if you're in the ice, you can see ice. It's also a tool for us. We have an ECTIS, which is an electronic chart. These days we're paperless. So paper charts have finished now. So we have two of these in case one fails, and this is where we plan our voyages and our routes and prepare for oncoming voyages and map out things like areas. Here. Well, I'll tell you about the bridge. There's handles.
We're having a little trouble. We're having a little trouble hearing you, mate.
Sailing ships, but you wouldn't know it on the side of the bridge. So maybe you can tell them about how we actually sail.
Yeah. So I remember the first time, they had some trouble hearing you, so I need to be closer to Helena.
We need you close together, I think. Yeah.
Yes, I'm going to stay a little closer to Helena. That's no problem. We are here in a safe bubble.
There was someone peeking over your shoulder a moment ago.
Oh yeah, he already passed. Because at the moment the ship is really busy. Later I will show you. They're trying to get a sail up, and we show that later to you. Okay. Just one thing, when I came the first time here on the ship, I thought, okay, it's a nice bridge, very fancy, but we're on a sailing boat, and how can we see the sails? And that was quite funny because at one point you don't see them, but you feel them. Because when the sails are flapping, you feel the chair moving, or when you have too many sails up, you feel the ship heeling over. So that's really one of the things you use other senses to sail the ship. Of course, you walk around. Okay, let's have a look outside and look at what the crew is doing at the moment.
Here.
One of the nice things of this ship at the moment with our 16 crew is that we have 16 different nationalities. And that's really, really special. So we just came out of a maintenance period. All the sails were off and were repaired. But we had to be in a hurry and we didn't have time for the last sail. So the crew is now picking up the last sail. And you see, it's really teamwork. talking now is you see at the moment the sailors coming up. And maybe Tom, I can say something about Dave.
Sounds wonderful.
This is Dave. Dave is coming from the second Rainbow Warrior, made by a German artist. We got it on board when we were going on the way from Sri Lanka to New Zealand. Elena and I both were on board. It was really in a bad shape. We opened it up because we had to glue it together again. And then we found inside a time capsule. This was from the crew of the second Rainbow Warrior. We don't know exactly which time. And what we found inside was these stones.
Oh, you're cutting out.
So when we arrived in New Zealand, when we're going to New Zealand, you always have to, you're welcomed by the Maori people and they sing a song. And we also, of course, had to find a song to sing as well. And we had a very nice song we found now. And we also got a song with the help of New Zealand team, the song of Bob Dylan, When the Ship Comes In. And we had a very nice story to tell.
We put our own little time capsules inside as well.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So we put our own little, I can't remember what I put in though.
No, me neither. But in the future, we will hear what we put in.
Yeah.
Okay, just one thing what is also nice to see is the crow's nest. So when we need to go up the mast, for instance, to lash the sail, it can be done here with the crow's nest, all the way to the top, 54 meters, quite far. Okay, let's go to the campaign office. Through the bridge, we go to the campaign office and let's see who is there. I hope we don't have too much noise. Let me know if it's the case, then I need to stop the operation.
It's not too noisy at the moment, but we might get you.
Here we are.
There we are.
Okay, we're now going to mute the television, as you see.
Yeah, I might need to ask you to repeat the story of Dave. You cut out for a little bit when you were saying it. I have people in the chat saying, "What did you find inside Dave?"
Elena, can you come some closer because then we can. What did we find inside Dave? I remember stones.
There were little figurines, I think, and then there was a broken up letter that was put together.
Yeah, and yeah, so yeah, different things what people put inside.
I think there's also.
Okay. Yeah, please ask.
Is the bell from the? I've got a comment in the chat. The bell from the original Rainbow Warrior is on the ship as well, no?
Yeah, that's correct. But the bell is in the conference room. We haven't been to the conference room actually. It's downstairs, the heli deck, and indeed the bell is there. We should have done that. Stupid, we forgot.
I think the reception down there would probably be abysmal. So,
here we have a good excuse.
Yeah, that's the good reason for it there. Well, thank you very much. We also have Rianne's joined us too. Rianne, if you want to say hello, mate, you sent a message in the chat. Saying that it was wonderful to see some of his previous crewmates and greetings. No, not unmuting, that's okay. All right, so if people would like to ask some questions, I think we're at the question part, yeah? Or are we moving on to somewhere else next?
I can also ask Stan what he's doing here, if you want.
Sounds wonderful.
He's sitting next to me.
Yeah, let's go.
Hi, my name's Stan Vincent. I work for Greenpeace. I'm a relative newbie, I suppose. I only started in 1989. Always been involved in accidents. And I haven't sailed much on the Rainbow Warrior 3, but I did sail quite a lot on the Rainbow Warrior 2, so including going to Aurora. And I'm presently on board, sort of taking care of action for the next sort of forest and ocean campaign. So I'm very happy to be here.
And we are happy Stan is here.
Yeah. This that segues nicely. Somebody wrote a question in the chat. They missed the opening, the introduction, and they were asking, what is the ship used for? So campaigning is one of the things that we use it for. I heard you mention before collaboration with scientists and journalists with the helicopter, but there's also a lot of different things that people may not be aware we use the ships for. So what sort of different things do we use the Warrior to do?
Yes, for me it is. I remember one thing I did was with the Rainbow Warrior, was doing aid relief is the English word in Vanuatu after the cyclone Pam. Was a great. We were just delivery aid actually from one island to the island to another island because they didn't have any boats left. It was a great thing to do. I will ask the Helena what she ever did on the ships as well. Can you come some closer? Yeah. So I'm gonna. What are the things we do with the ships? So I just spoke about Vanuatu. Do you know any other things we did with ships?
Oh,
yeah.
Over the years.
Or Stan,
well,
maybe.
Yeah, we did. One of the highlights I had on this ship was going through Brazil, going to the Amazon, and visiting a community that was looking at alternative use of forest acai instead of deforestation. Doing a tour down for promoting renewables, and then going to the Earth Summit where we used thousands of visitors to the ship and used that as a platform. But on the way, we did an action in San Luis, which you can talk about. That was one of your highlights too, I think. Yeah. Against pig iron export. Yeah. That was using charcoal from the forest to burn.
This was the first action of this Rainbow Warrior. It was actually quite a good action. 10 days. We occupied a ship that was coming there to load pig iron. We stayed on the anchor chain for, I think, approximately 7 days. Then we followed it in. And then we blocked the cranes and stopped it from loading the pig iron. And the good thing about it for me was that what we wanted is to sit around the table with everybody and say, can we come not to a good way of getting this pig iron and not use the ancient forest for the charcoal and also not use slavery because that was still happening there. And we, in the end, we could cancel or stop the protest because we got an agreement and we could sit together. And in the end, it turned out that they stopped it. So it was a really good action. I always use this as one of the best examples of actions of this ship. Maybe Stan has anything else.
Well, I guess, like I said, most of my experience isn't on the Rainbow Warrior 3. Biggest personal experience for the Rainbow Warrior 2 was Muro. I guess we had the Muro, we had the MP Greenpeace, we had sailing vessels, helicopter, and opposing French military nuclear testing off of Muro. Whilst I think we lost 2 ships, the helicopter and inflatables, eventually it did result in French stopping testing of Muro. So, in my opinion, it's all worth it.
Nice. I just saw a question: who's planning all this? So, our ships are owned or actually organized by Greenpeace International, and we have 26 offices all around the world. Yeah. And an office can come with a proposal and say, we have this campaign, and for this campaign we need a ship. They write a proposal to a team in Greenpeace International, and then they decide where the ship is, if it's possible for a ship to come. I always see the ships as a platform to give the local group a voice. I think that is the best thing to describe it. Yeah, you can invite like for instance politicians, but if you have a ship, you have more chance that they come. Especially the Rainbow Warrior, I think, because it's such an icon.
I do remember in Australia all the politicians that came and visited, even some, even some conservative politicians that we did not expect came and visited us. I think I see Rian on the call, one of the crew from the original. G'day, mate.
Hey, Rian, how are you?
Oh, good. I don't know if you can hear me.
We can hear you perfectly, buddy.
Okay. I want to get back to Dave the Dolphin. Because I wasn't there when the second Rainbow Warrior was converted to what it was, to sails and extended and all that in Hamburg. I got in touch, or I met the people who built it, who built Dave the Dolphin. There were a group of people, activists, volunteers from Greenpeace Castle, a town in central Germany. I thought that's just a nice little anecdote. So it is not just one artist, it was a group of, an artist and a volunteer group, basically, in Germany. Who made it and donated it, gave it to Peter Wilcox, and the crew was there. They had a wild party, I think, something like that. I wasn't there. They told me the story about it and gave me a lot of photos. Yeah. Anyway, back to you guys.
Thanks, Rian.
Thanks, Rian.
Yes.
So we've got a couple of comments and questions in the chat. One which I remember from when we did the ship tours in person. This is a very common question about being a female ship captain. Is it common to be a female ship captain? How long have you been a ship captain? Yeah, so one for you, Hettie.
I've been captain now for 5, 6 years. I'm in Greenpeace already 22 years now. I never wanted to become a captain because I still think it's quite a boring job, but I can also see some good things in it. Being a female or not a female, I think everybody has their profession. I don't see the difference. Sometimes you get nice comments. I remember in Korea once, and 2 people came on board. They were looking for the captain, and they saw me, and then they started giggling. Very funny. But no, it's normal. I think time is changing, and it's good. I think it's important to get people in different positions on board, different gender, different cultures. Part of the game.
Changing world. I have a few comments in the chat and then a question, but I have to read some of the comments. So some of the people are saying, I can't stop smiling, so pleased and inspired to see the people doing the work, people who admire the commitment of the crew over the years, and people who say they're proud to be part of Greenpeace. I have a question, which is a good one because I have no idea. What is the feather behind your head?
So maybe Tom can help me in this, or Helena. You can read it? Can you read it?
Okay, it says feather from Aztec ceremony in Veracruz, Mexico in 2014. This was, I believe it was a ceremony that happened on the ship when we were visiting Veracruz, and some local indigenous people came down and did a ceremony and gave us a feather, and we keep it with pride here in our ship's office. Maybe it guides us or not, but it's a souvenir given to us by a place we visit. We get a lot of those.
Yeah, that's why I feel a little bit ashamed, because we have so many things on board that I do not know everything. But okay, I have to. No, she's not on there.
The women founders.
Can you see that? Women founders of Greenpeace.
Yeah, the female founders, Marie Boland.
But some people always say we missed somebody there.
There we go. So we have some more questions, including one about the nature of the ship. So people were asking, how green is the ship? How much solar power do we need? It's an interesting story, I think. Oh, after you, yeah. I know this is the first Greenpeace ship that we built from scratch. So yeah, people are asking about the design of the ship and how it works and how it runs. Can you hear me?
I cannot hear you very well, Simon. No,
Oh my
can you please
goodness.
repeat?
I was saying we have quite a few questions in the chat about how green. You still can't hear me? No. Can you hear me now, Hettie?
Now I can hear you.
Oh my goodness. Panicked for a moment. We've got a few questions about how green is the ship, how much solar power do you use? And I know it's an interesting story because this is the first Greenpeace ship we built from the ground up as a sailing vessel explicitly. Do you want to tell people a little bit about that if you feel like it?
Yeah. So this is the first ship we specifically built for ourselves and designed for ourselves. And how green is the ship? I have to say the ship is becoming greener and greener and greener. The most greenest part of the ship is the sails, and that it really can sail very well. We tried solar panels. Maybe we can walk there, then I can show you where we tried them.
Sounds lovely.
The problem is actually with solar panels is that we have with the sails and these masts, we have so much shade. So that's really difficult to get good solar panels. But we tried solar panels here. Tom is now climbing up to show you. We tried on top of here solar panels. Actually, like we have in the Netherlands, bike path from solar panels. But the problem is because we also need to work here, walk here, that when it's freezing, it's breaking. So that is, that is a problem. So that didn't work. But we didn't use wood. So on that side, that's good. We didn't use, the engines were at the latest, unfortunately still diesel. And I think as soon as the development of anything, because we're monitoring it all the time, we will change things. Like I'm really looking forward to solar panels kind of things in the sail, because this is something what is developing. So we're still looking to see, and I hope at one point we can get our engines out and get new engines in on a different, like methanol or electric or batteries, or we just have to see.
It's wonderful.
Maybe I can show you the sail is now up. They brought it up all the way.
I'd love to see it.
And in the meantime, if you have other questions, let me know.
We definitely do. We've got quite a few. One of them was about the work that we do with scientists. So do you collect oceanic data for scientists? Oh, I think you start to freeze when you get up that end of the ship though.
Yeah, I will tell Tom. Tom, we're freezing there. So come forward.
We freeze on this part of the ship as we get closer to the day.
Do you know, have you had any work with scientists? Can you say anything about that? We're coming back.
Sounds good.
Because we're freezing there. I understood. Maybe Stan or Elena can say something about working with scientists. Sometimes it's really difficult to ask, to reply to questions on the spot. We're not that trained in it.
That's all right. I remember when we were in Australia.
Alaska on there.
1 second, Simon is not, sorry. That's difficult, Simon, because I'm the only one who can hear you.
Oh, whoopsie.
So maybe you can say about Alaska, you said?
No, I remember when we were in Australia. A big part of when we were working, I think when I first met you, Hettie, we were working on an oil campaign in Australia in the Great Australian Bight. And a big part of that campaign was taking scientists out to part of this very unexplored region to sort of document the work there. And I know a huge victory that we've had is with Amazon Reef in the campaign against Total, basically when they said there's no reef. And we went out and showed them, yes, there is. But those are two of the ones that I know off the top of my head, but you've been there for many of them.
Yeah, correct. And actually the one in Australia, South Australia, I really remember very well. And I remember this leafy sea dragon. I think one of the most beautiful fish, only swimming there. It was fantastic. Have you ever seen that one? Fantastic. You have to go and see it. Anybody, any story about scientific research on ships? Any other campaigning story?
Well, I know the Warrior was used off a Fukushima. I do a lot of nuclear work. When I was on land, Fukushima, we were working closely with the Warrior that was working offshore, doing water sampling, fish sampling, testing. So that was one of the things. There you are.
Yeah.
We have some ship nerds in the chat, it seems. I've got a lot of, how many, when the sails are up, how many square meters? How many knots can the ship go?
The square meters is together is 1,280, something like that. I think last trip they did, they reached the top speed. I don't know if it's true because I didn't see it, but it was 15 knots. And normally, I think the most I saw was 14 knots, something like that. We count on 6.5 knots to be able to sail. Because if we tell the campaign, you can count on 8 knots or 7 knots, we need to be somewhere too fast. And if there is not a lot of wind or we have to go against the wind, we have to start the engine, and this is what we don't want.
Yeah, ideally as little as possible. There's a couple of questions I can see around, you've already said Greenpeace International, or Greenpeace globally owned the ships. There's some questions about where did the money for the Rainbow Warrior come from? And I know this is there's a plaque, I believe, next to the radio room talking about the people who helped the Rainbow Warrior come to be. But yeah, if you want to tell people, I think it's a pretty nice story. If you feel like telling them, or I can as well if you prefer.
Yeah, you can, and then I follow up with other story about it. I know.
I remember from our ship tours, so there was some money from the Dutch postcode lottery, but also there was a lot of funding from supporters. I remember people telling me you could go online and you could buy a doorknob for the Rainbow Warrior, or you could buy a rail, or you could buy a part of the sail, and it was a tremendous collaboration by hundreds of thousands, millions of Greenpeace supporters around the world who really helped to turn this idea, this ship, into reality. And as you said, the first Greenpeace ship built for scratch and made for sailing to be as green as it can be. And it's not as green as it's going to be, but as green as it could be now. But yeah, over to you. I don't want to steal your thunder, Hettie.
No problem, no problem. Yeah, and we have actually all the names of everybody who donated something to the ship. We have in a huge banner with all the countries, all the names. It's very funny. We still have, when we have open boat, we most of the time hang it up. People are looking for their names.
We had a question about
that. It's completely donated by just donators' money.
So that flag, all the people's names, is still on the ship. We had a question: is that flag still on the ship? It certainly is. We've also got it is, yeah. Yeah. We've also got a comment from somebody in the chat who helped to buy the anchor or part of the anchor, saying they're very proud to have done that.
Nice.
Another one, Win Hawkins. I still have my certificate for the tiny bit of the Rainbow Warrior I contributed to. Thank you, Win.
Thank you.
Many questions. How do you get a job on the Rainbow Warrior? How can I volunteer on the Rainbow Warrior? How can I volunteer to become part of the ships? So how can people, if they want to get involved with Greenpeace?
If people want to get involved, I think the best thing is to go to your local office, become a volunteer there, work there. And you can always write to the Greenpeace International, go to the Greenpeace International website and see. You can apply for a job as well. We need a lot of professional seafarers, but we also need people, volunteers who later become a deckhand. Most of the time they come from the local offices. And the funny thing is those people are most of the time much more educated than all of others of us on board. And it's really nice to have this combination of people. We have a lot of marine biologists on board and different kinds, people with different kind of studies. So it's quite interesting. And we always look for volunteers. So go and join your local office.
I remember talking to the deckhands basically, and there's a lot of they were scraping a lot of paint. I remember because the salt air eats basically everything, so you have to keep constantly shedding the skin and replacing the skin, which is not something I'd ever thought of because I'm not a sailor. But yeah, no, that's wonderful. Absolutely. If anybody wants to get involved, please contact your local office. If people are curious how they can do that, I will get John or Mehdi or one of the people who's on the call to post a link in the chat for you. So we're getting into the nitty-gritty of some questions now, which is great. We have a question about what are the most dangerous missions? What are the missions that were the most difficult? There are some questions about, has bad weather ever stopped you being at the right location for the start of an action? I know from personal experience that's sometimes bad weather can stop you from getting places. But what are some of the moments that you remember most on the Rainbow Warrior ships, and the ones that you've been a part of that you think people might remember as well?
One of the moments, I do not understand the question.
What are the actions? Are there some actions that are more memorable to you? Some actions that were a little more difficult? Yeah.
Yeah. For me, I'm a big fan of Brazil, and we've been doing actions in the Amazon, and that was quite difficult because the culture in the Amazon or in Brazil is different, as for instance me as being a Dutch person. But I love that. That is for me, and there you really see that something is needed, and that we need to do something. So that's why I always love that. But yeah, we have there, for instance, when you do an action, when we did an action there, you have the police. First they go against you, then they're with you, and so you don't know where you're standing. You don't know what. That can be scary, and actually that was the only time that I ever felt a bit uncomfortable. But I love it. It's my favorite area. But yeah, I know there are many moments being in Greenland and with scientists and seeing how the glaciers have been retrieved, for instance, literally seeing it, looking at your GPS and see like glacier a couple of years ago was here, but now it's just green, and you fly further and it's still green, and further and still green. And then you really see climate change. Bearing witness is one of the biggest things. We have crew coming on board here, and they are they're seafarers without a big environmental background. But because of the bearing witness, they all become environmentalists. This is, you cannot go around that.
Yeah. I see a question from Diane in the chat. So she asks, how do you see the future for Greenpeace actions? Do you think they'll change? She says, I've been a supporter since the beginning, almost, and I'm always in awe of what you do. How do you think, I'm curious, how have things changed in your time in Greenpeace in terms of, in terms of the actions and the campaigns and the work we do? Has it evolved? Is it different?
I think it has been changed, but I think the one who can the best answer that question are the ones who are a little bit longer around than I am. Although 22 years is quite a long time.
Yeah, that's a little while already.
Because we became a bigger organization. I think when we started, we were one of the only ones. And now you have so many environmental organizations, and everybody does something.
Would you like me to hand
so
over?
That makes a difference.
Yeah. Would you like me to hand over to Susie or Ren, who can give a perspective?
I think that's really interesting.
Things at the start. So Susie and Ren, I'm going to ask you to unmute and ask you to start your cameras. Here we go. Susie, I can hear crackling.
Yeah, I'm here. Kia ora, everybody. I was just hoping to see the bell. I remember it used to be on the deck. I remember Bunny ringing it when we were in Matsauri Bay, and the the bloody toggle came off. It was quite funny. And it was on the deck, but must have gone down to the conference room in between then and now. So the difference is, well, first of all, we steered the Warrior ourselves. We had a wheel. We didn't have any of those nice little gadgets that you've got there.
Are you jealous?
No. I love steering. John Castle always said women were the best helms people because we could bring boats into harbour and take them out with, you know, really precision. And he always called one of the women up to the bridge when we were coming into port because he wanted one of us there, you know, at the helm. So that obviously is a great difference. I'm sure the range of foodstuffs has increased, and that I remember being on the Warrior and there was a menu actually. I went, wow, we just ate beans and rice all the time, and things have changed. But I think the thing that remains is the camaraderie between everybody, and that you become welded at the heart and the hip with the people that you go into these extraordinary adventures and circumstances with, and you make lifelong friends. And so today on the 50th, as I mentioned earlier, Simon, I'm remembering all these wonderful people that we all had such an incredible experience together. And hey, we didn't even know if we'd come back alive when we went out. We had to hire a proper captain and a first mate and a chief engineer because none of us had the faintest idea what we were doing. Yeah, and it was all very raw and very new, and we certainly didn't have all the whiz-bang communication stuff that you've got on the boat there. So I wouldn't trade it, Simon. I wouldn't trade the wheel for a computerized whatever. Yeah, so I don't know about Reen. Reen, what have you got to add to that?
Well, yeah, for me, so I got involved in the mid-70s, Mururoa stuff. First with free, and then sort of rolled on to what became Greenpeace. It was basically we had to improvise a lot because there was fuck all money. Sorry, excuse my language. I'm a sailor. So it was, Susie was saying, like I was the cook on board, so it was brown rice and soy sauce and bean sprouts and stuff like that. Very basic. That's all changed, but also the nature of the action. You just went to Mururoa or later on with the Rainbow Warrior to other campaigns or the other ships. You just went and hung up a banner and that was it. Now it is changed, because we are bigger, we got a lot more people. It's not just only young people strongly convicted about try to make love and not war, or stuff like that, or stop something, an outfall pipe or the dumping of nuclear waste or toxic waste into the oceans or whatever. Now it's also because we have grown and we are in a new century, we have to come up with solutions. And that's what we're doing now. At that stage, in the early stages of Greenpeace, we weren't so much looking at solutions. It was just we're trying to stop nuclear testing in Kamchatka or Mururoa or in Nevada or in Russia even. So that's the difference now, and also the way of we working now. As I notice a lot of people on Facebook or Twitter and whatever criticizing us because they maybe not see us so much in the media anymore for various reasons. I always try to explain it's not only Greenpeace anymore who can hang a banner. Everybody can hang a banner these days. There's a lot more competition in that respect. The media is sort of a little bit tired from it. It's changing again due to climate change and biodiversity losses. But Greenpeace is also working a lot more now behind the scenes, unseen, not documented by the media or anything. Like we are talking to business, we're talking to governments, we're working with other groups on changing financial systems where the money is going, you know, from big business or big corporations, trying to push them to bring changes in those sort of forums. So that's the stuff we weren't doing, and that's what we are doing now. Besides still having, thanks God, we still got our ships, because that's the point of the spear, I always say, from Greenpeace. That's our history, that's where we started, and that's still essential. It's like the stormtroopers, you know, they are the first to go in. They're risking life and limbs. That's the activists. And having ships, and it's us and Sea Shepherd, I think they're the only two who have that ability to go and do actions at sea. And that's something very unique and very special. And also working now with scientists, you know, I saw questions here also from, you know, about the science at sea and getting samples. How do we do that? It's often working together with independent scientists or universities, working together with them, and they can use this as a tool to get to places where they otherwise can't get to. I hope that answers a little bit.
Wonderful, Ray. Thank you very much, Ray.
You're welcome.
So I have another boat question. I have to ask the boat questions. I have no idea what it means though, Hettie, I'm really sorry. With 16 crew, when the sails are up, do you need to tack or jibe, or is it mostly automated? Is there still a lot of hauling the ropes and grinding of winches? It's very poetic.
Yeah, so the good thing about this new ship is that we can sail with 2 people, and tacking and jibing, which is altering the course with the bow through or the stern through the wind, we can do with 4, 5, 6 people. Of course, we still do. This is one of the nice things. I think all the crew love this, then they come out and they help. Yes, we still do. If you want, we can still walk around the ship. If we have good connection.
We have some questions about whaling. What has Greenpeace done to confront whaling? And I think Ren and Susie were there for the original campaigns. And I know there's still campaigning in some offices around this, not as much of the active confrontation as Ren and Susie were doing previously. To answer that question, and one question that I did want to get to though. So there's a comment from somebody who says, a wonderful experience and conversation. Thank you. And I've been used to volunteer in your offices, been there since the beginning. That person calls himself only a paper, pen and donation warrior. So glad you're all brave and doing the things you do to save the whales, and over the years expanded to save the planet. We're only here because of you, paper and pen warrior, or whatever you want to call yourself. Greenpeace is only here because we have millions of supporters around the world who want us to be here and who support us. Just wanted to say thank you and read the comment out. But if we want to walk around the ship a bit more, it would be wonderful. Do you think?
Okay, let's walk around.
Could we get to the bell and the flag, or is it in a dark zone for Wi-Fi reception?
In a bit.
Yeah, we can have to. Yeah, let's just go there, and if we lose connection, then
we can come back.
Let me know.
Yeah. It doesn't. Well, let's try. Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna try to go to the conference room. See the bell.
And
can you see one of our boats?
Yeah, our ribs.
Yeah, our ribs. We have 2 of those jet boats on board. And we have 2 inflatable boats, roll-ups, and 1 other, and that's jet fuel boat.
why are they called ribs? For anybody who
Here
doesn't.
you can see one of the other. Oh no, Tom is going into the rib.
Rigged old inflatables.
Here you can see the rib and the port of Poole where we are at the moment. Richard Hull inflatable. Yeah, very nice.
Yeah.
So maybe we can talk about. Look here.
I would love for you to.
You remember this one, Rien?
Yeah, but it's probably more Susie may know, or Rex, of course.
Okay, okay.
In particular,
Maybe
I
Susie
think
can.
it's better to talk about that one than I do.
Okay, Susie, maybe.
To the crew of Phyllis Cormack, apparently the Quahoodle design. So I was told, I think Paul Watson told me actually, and it was the design, the first design that I ever saw that I acquainted with the Greenpeace work that they were doing up in Amchitka. And so when it came to painting the Sir William Hardy and transforming her into the Rainbow Warrior, we decided we'd put that design on the stern. And I do understand that since that time, there has been some discussion around the origin and provenance and of that design and who really has the agency behind the design and what the design really is. At that point in time, we just had the story. We didn't have contact actually with the Quahoodle people to get their permission to use it. And it was kind of just through what we had been told, stories handed down through people like Paul and Bob Hunter and Rex, who was actually on the Rainbow Warrior for the first campaign or part of it. And so that's how come it ended up there. But that one looks slightly different. So that might be the newer version that was adopted a bit more recently. It seems a little bit different. So yeah, that's the story behind that design as I know it from received wisdom from the founders.
If people are curious, I actually have a blog post about this whole story and about the process in 2012 of going back and as you said, helping to reconcile with the use of the symbol and having it redrawn for us. I'll put that post in the chat so people can read it if they'd like to know the full story, because it is a very interesting story and definitely worth reading if you're curious. We're going to try to go to the conference room, and we may vanish from stream. We'll give it a shot.
Let's see. Yes, you see our sticker wall, and now we go to the conference room and see if we can find the bell.
Stickers.
Well, that was not unexpected. You know,
it disappeared.
She has disappeared. I think she's downstairs, probably right now talking and saying, "Can you hear me? Can you hear me?" And the answer is absolutely not.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we will need to wait till they come back up. We're almost at the end of the live stream anyway. But I see a couple of questions that I can answer. I won't steal Hettie's thunder while they're downstairs. Are there any plans for Greenpeace documentary to be made for the 50th year? Watch this space. However,
sorry, can I answer that question? Because
absolutely.
Tomorrow I'm having a conversation with a well-known producer called Nick Fraser. Apparently he's really famous. I've never heard of him, but he's phoning me because yes, they are making yet another documentary about the Rainbow Warrior, focusing on bombing. And for those of us like Green and others here, Martini, Hannah, etc., in New Zealand, our eyes glaze over when we hear there's going to be yet another documentary. about the Rainbow Warrior because they've been so many, and so many of them are really quite, you know, they're not that good, even they might have A-listers in them. That film that I shared with you, Susana Reis's Rainbow Warriors of Waiheke Island, is probably the best. However, this company assure me that they're going to be making this film. It has a lot of gravitas to it and big budget, etc. But there's also a BBC documentary that's being planned, and I'm involved with the series, which is going to be a streaming thing like with Netflix or whoever, going right back to the beginning of Greenpeace, taking it right through. This is the fictionalized version, including some documentary, you know, real documentary, going up to the beginning of the Warrior. Based on some stuff from Rex's book, the Warrior stuff was based on the book I wrote, and that is it's all being pitched at the moment in Hollywood. So watch this space. They will hopefully at some point be a fictionalized version of the history of Greenpeace and the Rainbow Warrior. And, yeah.
Thank you.
I can't think of any other documentaries at the moment or fictionalized films, but I've heard that there was a film being made by Participant, I think it was, which is actually about Rainbow Warrior campaigns right now. I don't know if that's ever come to fruition, but you know, we hear about these documentaries all the time over here, and I'm looking forward to having the conversation tomorrow with Nick, finding out exactly what he's up to.
Thank you, Susie. I think we've got the Rainbow Warrior back. I'm going to spotlight them, I think. Hello, everybody. It was indeed a dead spot downstairs in the conference room, so I think that's definitely a no-go area. I also think we're getting to the end of the, we're getting towards the end of the time. I see people saying have to run and disappearing in the chat, but thank you so much for taking us inside your home, something which people don't, which we haven't mentioned, that this is really, it's your home as well. It's a floating campaign vessel. It's a scientific research vessel. It is a platform, but it's also where you live. And yeah, we're very honored to be taken inside and shown around your home and to hear your thoughts on campaigns in the world today. So massive thank you to everybody. We will endeavor to answer questions in the chat that we didn't get to during the chat. Susie and Ree, so nice to see you as well. Thank you for joining and for taking the tour, and thank you for speaking as well. It's wonderful to have both of you on the tour as well.
Thank you, and love to everybody on board.
Thank you, Hettie. Thank you, Tom. Bye-bye, everybody.
Well, thank you. See you when you come back to Auckland, or when you go to Matari Bay first, I know, but I'll be there. I'll see you there.